Survivor Series is one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, a show that every single wrestling fan eagerly waits for. Many wrestling icons have had their first televised experiences with the WWE at this event, or have used it as a platform for their grand return. With the 2023 event being just days away, let's take a look at some of the greats who have debuted or returned at the biggest show of the winter. At number 10, we've got Kane at Survivor Series 1997. While Glenn Jacobs debuted in WWE back in 1995, he wouldn't be known as Kane until 1997. Kane's legendary debut was one of the most perfectly crafted storylines of the Attitude Era. The Big Red Machine made his first appearance at Bad Blood, interfering in the match between his brother, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. Kane famously tore off the door of the Hell in a Cell as the crowd watched in horror. He then tombstoned his brother and just left. Many don't know that Kane's first official match was at Survivor Series 1997 though. He defeated Mankind and continued feuding with The Undertaker for the next year. He even won the WWE Championship during this time, and would later ally with The Undertaker to form the Brothers of Destruction. Kane would become one of the most celebrated big men in all of wrestling, later shifting to politics and becoming the mayor of Knox County in 2018. At number 9 we've got The Rock at Survivor Series 1996. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is arguably the most entertaining WWE superstar of all time. He's done it all, and he's done it well. The Rock is one of the biggest box office attractions in Hollywood today, despite having a rough start with a series of forgettable films. His story in wrestling is weirdly similar, as he struggled with a goody two-shoes character, better known as the Blue Chipper. Known as Rocky Maivia back then, he was billed as the first ever third-generation wrestler in WWE, but this wasn't enough to win over the fans, who in 1996 were beginning to demand more anti-heroes like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Rocky Maivia debuted at Survivor Series 1996, becoming the sole survivor in the traditional 8-man tag team match, winning it for Team Mero. He'd quickly win the Intercontinental title and was heavily promoted by the WWE. But the fans had begun to turn on him and infamously chanted "Die Rocky Die" and "Rocky sucks" during his matches. After returning from an injury, Maivia turned heel by joining the Nation of Domination. He began calling himself The Rock, and the rest, as you know, is history. But this isn't the last time you'll be hearing about the great one on this list. At number 8, we've got Kurt Angle at Survivor Series 1999. Now, Kurt Angle cemented himself as one of the greatest of all time. Angle was well-rounded in every aspect, winning over the fans with his hilarious personality and a superb technical ability. The latter is no surprise considering his decorated amateur wrestling background. Angle made his official WWE debut during the peak of the Attitude Era at Survivor Series 99. This was almost 3 years after he won the gold at the Summer Olympics. A legitimate athlete, he had no problem learning the ropes, despite the terrible experience he had in ECW. Angle defeated Shawn Stasiak in a squash match and would be undefeated for a couple of weeks. Angle was meant to be a babyface in the WWE, but the fans weren't buying it, so the company turned him into a narcissist sort of character. This, along with his WWE title win in less than a year, did wonders for his legendary career. At number 7 we've got Goldberg at the 2016 Survivor Series. Now, Bill Goldberg is proof that you don't need technical prowess or golden promo skills to make it in the wrestling business. You only need a great look and a powerful presence. Goldberg made his name in WCW during the Monday Night Wars, when the company was struggling against the mighty WWE. His undefeated streak made him a larger-than-life hero for wrestling fans around the world. However, Goldberg's WWE run isn't considered all that, as compared to his time in Atlanta. He had a lackluster first run during Triple H's reign of terror during the early 2000s. He'd returned to the ring in 2016 against arch-nemesis Brock Lesnar. Lesnar was also undergoing a career renaissance, having returned to the WWE after a spectacular UFC run. He'd shocked the world after ending The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak and flattening stars such as John Cena, Triple H and Randy Orton. Lesnar seemed virtually unstoppable and when Goldberg returned to confront him, everybody had their hopes up. This is as Goldberg had already defeated the Beast in their lackluster matchup at WrestleMania 20, when Goldberg mauled Lesnar at Survivor Series in just 86 seconds. The world was shook. This made Goldberg 2-0 against the so-called Beast Incarnate. The two Goliaths collided once again at the WrestleMania the next year, in which Lesnar finally got one over against Goldberg. Goldberg had a better run this time compared to his last one. Just try not to remember his bout against The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia where he almost killed him. At number 6, The Rock returns at Survivor Series 2011. After being gone from the WWE for 7 years, The Rock returned to the company to host WrestleMania 27. He had become a star in Hollywood, and so he brought even more clout to the WWE, which certainly helped sell his rivalry with WWE's cash cow John Cena. The two titans collided at WrestleMania 28, making it the best-selling wrestling event of all time, with 1.3 million buys. But before that could happen, The Rock had to see if he still got what it took to compete in the ring. So he teamed up with his rival Cena to face Cena's rivals The Miz and R-Truth. The match happened at Survivor Series 2011, and Cena had been given the liberty of choosing his tag team partner. So he chose the Great One, who accepted the offer. The match was well received, and The Rock looked great despite his time away from the ring. The two defeated Miz and Truth, who got a lot of spotlight from the bout. Before we get into number 5, like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video, and let us know in the comments what your list would be. At number 5 we've got The Shield, at Survivor Series 2012. Professional wrestling had its fair share of stables throughout the years, but many regard The Shield to be the best three-man group in modern times. Made up of Dean Ambrose aka Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, these three men were an integral part of the WWE's roster during the 2010s. Each member of this stable had their own unique personality traits, and was heralded by fans and journalists alike to be the next top stars of the game. These three men had made a name for themselves in NXT in an individual capacity. They shocked the world when they debuted on the main roster at Survivor Series 2012, and they acted as mercenaries for WWE champion CM Punk, helping him retain his title. They would soon become one of the hottest acts in WWE, with all three members holding a championship during their alliance with The Authority. Each member of the Shield would find World Championship success not long after, with all of them becoming main eventers and the faces of their companies. At number 4 we've got The Undertaker returns at Survivor Series 2005. The Undertaker's feud with then rising star Randy Orton did wonders for both men. It gave Orton a lot of importance following his failed face run after being kicked out of Evolution, and it did wonders for the Deadman character, which was revived in 2004, along with bringing prominence to the streak. After beating Orton at WrestleMania 21, The Undertaker lost to him at the following SummerSlam and No Mercy. Orton and his dad, Cowboy Bob Orton, would put Taker out of action by putting him in a casket and setting it on fire at No Mercy. But after the casket was opened, the dead man had disappeared. He'd returned at Survivor Series 2005 to terrorize Orton and a bunch of other wrestlers, and Orton's reaction is an iconic meme today. Taker would go on to defeat Orton at Armageddon to end their legendary rivalry, but we're not done with The Undertaker just yet. At number 3, we've got Scott Steiner at Survivor Series 2002. Scott Steiner is one of the most eccentric personalities in wrestling history, and easily its greatest mathematician.
You got a 33 and a third chance of winning, but I got a 66 and 2/3 chance of winning.
The Steiner brothers were one of the best tag teams at their time, and they competed in the WWE as well. They were legit amateur wrestling athletes, and this made them exciting to watch. When Scott went solo and adopted his Big Papa Pump persona during the Monday Night Wars, he became an instant hit, especially during the Vince Russo era in WCW. He saw a lot of success thanks to his stellar mic skills, majestic physique, and excellent in-ring work. Naturally, he became one of the biggest acquisitions by the WWE after WCW folded. Steiner returned to the WWE at Survivor Series 2002 in Madison Square Garden. interrupting a promo by heels Matt Hardy and Christopher Nowinski. The crowd went nuts as soon as they heard Steiner's theme music. The big bad booty daddy quickly got to work as he beat up Hardy and Nowinski. JR rightly described the situation as, "This is not a match, folks, this is an ass whooping." But Steiner would also get the Goldberg treatment during this run. While he became a world champion in WCW, he wasn't allowed to have the same success in the WWE. He had a main event run against Triple H during the Reign of Terror. While his feud with the Game was exciting, the matchups lacked the quality expected. Steiner's WWE run came to an end after an injury and some backstage heat. He'd have a career revival in TNA, where he'd deliver some promos that would get him a massive cult following. He would return to the WWE to take his rightful place in the Hall of Fame, alongside his brother Rick, in 2022. At number 2 we've got Sting, at Survivor Series 2014. Sting was one of the biggest superstars in WCW, and was expected to join WWE after it went bust. However, he instead opted to go to TNA, or whatever it's called now, where he played a big part in the company's mainstream emergence. Sting cited the reason for this being WWE's poor treatment of WCW star Booker T during the invasion angle, but eventually, TNA's internal troubles and direction became too much for the icon. He began appearing on the WWE's programming following the death of his old friend, the Ultimate Warrior. As the time went by, the company began promoting his merch and action figures, indicating that his debut was near. Sting debuted in a manner that befitted him. In the main event of Survivor Series 2014, he attacked Triple H and cost Team Authority their match. He'd be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016, but I think the less said about his WWE run, the better. And finally, at number 1, I think it's the obvious one, The Undertaker at Survivor Series 1990. The Undertaker's debut isn't just the most iconic moment in Survivor Series history, but also one of the greatest debuts in all of wrestling. Before becoming The Undertaker, Mark Calloway had competed in the Indies and WCW, where he was told by his booker that he would never make it in the business. But little did that booker know that Calloway would attract the attention of the biggest player in the game, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He joined the WWE and officially debuted at Survivor Series 1990 as The Undertaker, in front of thousands of people. He was revealed as one of the members of the $1 Million Team, captained by the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Everyone was amazed by the sheer stature and mystique of the 7-foot giant, being led by Brother Love. He would make 2 eliminations, which included Dusty Rhodes, the captain of Team Dusty, and Taker got a great reception, and would then be managed by the late great Paul Bearer. He became the youngest WWE champion at that point, at the very next Survivor Series by defeating Hulk Hogan. And over the years, The Undertaker would become a cultural icon thanks to his constantly evolving persona and his WrestleMania streak. Click here for another video, and if you want to support us further and become one of the dogs yourself, join our Patreon using the link in the description. You'll get exclusive benefits, access to our private community, watch-alongs, and much more. Nice one.